We didn't expect this from the Prime Minister today, but with hate speech spewed out on a weekly basis at those so-called peace marches, and with racist slogans projected onto our great public buildings, his unprecedented intervention tonight was welcome. Better late than never, Rishi.
They want us to doubt ourselves, to doubt each other, to doubt our country's history and achievements. They want us to accept a moral equivalence between Britain and some of the most despicable regimes in the world. Let us prove these extremists wrong and show them that even when we disagree, we will never be disunited from our common values of decency and respect.
At last, a bit of leadership from Sunak, and the Prime Minister had harsh words for the newly elected MP George Galloway, a man who's had more comebacks than Fleetwood Mac and ABBA combined. But he's no super trooper. This Armani-suited Lexus-driving Lothario, a man with more ex-wives than you and I have had hot dinners, returns to the House of Commons in the previously safe Labour seat of Rochdale. So what were the issues at play? The cost of living? Spiralling rents? A lack of GP appointments? A dearth of school places? Litter on the streets? Antisocial behaviour in the park? Potholes? God forbid. Yes, indeed, gone are the days when issues that mattered to ordinary people featured in the political conversation. No, bizarrely, this by-election was about a war several thousand miles away in which the United Kingdom is not participating. A decisive number of British Muslim voters in Rochdale were likely motivated to support George Galloway, given that he was the only candidate making a clear commitment to an immediate and permanent ceasefire between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. Now, that is democracy, and Galloway argues that he is the duly elected Member of Parliament with a popular mandate, and he rejects Sunak's criticism. But Galloway's success tells you that as demographics change, in the years to come, religious and cultural battles will shape not just the national conversation, but the very makeup of our Parliament. It's my view that Galloway has manipulated the war in Gaza for his own political ends. And in my view, the PM was right to call him out. And thanks to the likes of Galloway, just as Northern Ireland politics has been dominated by political sectarianism, the rest of the UK in time may have to get used to the same thing. The Tories and Reform UK were non-existent in Rochdale, but that's not the story. The story is one of triumph for political jack-in-the-box Galloway and a nightmare for Sir Keir Starmer, because whilst Galloway is only one MP, he's one of the most gifted public speakers of his generation, and he will use every moment in the House of Commons between now and the next election to expose and exploit Labour's divisions over Gaza. Don't forget, it was only outrageous lobbying of the Speaker of the House of Commons that saw an outright vote on a ceasefire scrapped to avoid Labour's blushes under the guise of the safety of Labour MPs and alleged threats from Islamic extremists. Again, something referenced by Sunak in front of Number 10 earlier this evening. Should that ceasefire vote have gone ahead, a swathe of Labour backbenchers would have voted against their own party, and likely frontbench resignations would have followed. Now, George Galloway will be exposing and exploiting Labour's weaknesses in the months ahead. It will be entertaining for the neutral, but stomach-churning for Starmer and his supporters, still reeling after having to chuck the official Labour candidate in Rochdale out of the party for claiming the horrific October the 7th attacks, which killed over 1,000 Jews, were planned by Israel. Now, to be fair to Starmer, he has held the line on Israel, and for that, I give him great credit. But how long will it last? You tell me. But one thing's for sure, after mob rule saw the scrapping of a House of Commons vote, and for a religiously charged conflict abroad to be having such a direct impact on the outcome of a UK election, we are in worrying territory. At last, however, we're seeing a kind of strong leadership on extremism from Sunak that many have craved for a long time. I'm curious to see how Sir Keir Starmer, probably our next Prime Minister, responds. Will he be as firm? I won't hold my breath. And as for George Galloway, his nickname is Gorgeous George. But there's nothing gorgeous about this result in Rochdale. In fact, British politics is turning ugly.